Okay, I'm recording it now.
Now we are. Awesome.
Now we are. Okay, so here we go. So Stuart, thank you so much, and take it away.
Thank you, Pam. I'm going to speak for hopefully very few minutes about the CV process and kind of, well, not even really the process, but just what I've seen as a search committee member when it comes to CVs. Maybe next, Pam. I think we've got a couple slides to go.
Okay.
Keep going. Here we go. Okay. So I'm not going to really spend much time talking about the basics because I think a lot of us have experience writing CVs. I'm just going to kind of speak a little bit about what I've seen, really problems people have had with CVs from the perspective of a search committee. So again, I'm speaking as someone who's been on search committees, looking at CVs and kind of what you can do to your CV in order to make it kind of get you through at least the first round of the application process. And I'm not going to go over these categories in extensive detail for time's sake, but I really do want to emphasize that, and again, this is just my experience on search committees, and it's open for debate maybe, but I think really a good CV will get you through the door. It won't get you a job. A bad CV, or not a bad CV, let me correct myself. A CV that's missing certain things or where certain things are buried will immediately kind of get you disqualified. And particularly for lecturer jobs, those are educational history and classes taught. And I'm going to speak for a few minutes when we get to a couple slides down about minimum qualifications, which are the kind of benchmarks that candidates are required to meet almost in order to move through the first stage of screening. Next slide, Pam, please. Thank you. Again, this is kind of basic, but worth noting that when you create a CV, contact information, educational history, particularly your degrees and the years you earned your degrees and the name of the school and that kind of thing should be at the top. And I know this, again, sounds pretty basic, but when a search committee sees a CV, especially if there are a lot of applicants, the initial screening, at least in my experience, is going through and seeing who doesn't meet the minimum conditions, the minimum qualification requirements. So having that at the top of your CV is integral. And I have an example here, just from a CV from a recent search that our department did. Next, please, Pam. One thing that I wanted to note regarding the order of the CV is that, and this is going to come up a couple times in our presentation, the priority of certain parts of the CV can change depending on the job. For CCE lecturer jobs, for example, like the ones that are being run across Keeney this semester, starting with teaching experience is preferred. Again, because these kinds of positions focus on teaching. Therefore, I would recommend starting your CV for these jobs with a brief narrative, kind of outline what you can teach. And the reason I mentioned this brief narrative is that, especially if you're a graduate student or an early career academic, you might not have taught that many jobs, right? Or excuse me, that many courses. So if you're coming into the job market and you're applying for jobs, you might want to really talk about what you could teach, right? Including like if it's a job that requires certain kinds of skills like computer programs, languages, that kind of thing, being able to kind of speak for what you can do in your CV very briefly, I think is really important. Also, it's absolutely crucial that you list the classes you've taught in your CV. Again, basic, but really important. And for tenure track or research-oriented positions, start with publications, right? And conferences as well. I recommend, and again, this is obviously up for debate, no more than 10 conferences for a short CV. Next. There's some examples. And just to kind of speak to the chat, I'm going to talk about it actually at the end of the presentation, but key point, always reverse chronological order. Always start with what you've done most recently. So I know this is a small screen, but you can see I have publications and teaching here kind of going in reverse chronological order. So when you lay out these aspects of your CV, everything should be in reverse chronological and clear to the reader. Next slide. I found that work or professional experience is less of a priority when constructing a CV, an academic CV than teaching and research experience. So I've seen people turn in CVs to the search committee and it lists like other jobs you've had, maybe if you were in another line of work before you switched to academia or before you got your terminal degree in your field. I've seen CVs with those kinds of things kind of up front. And again, I think that really kind of, at least in my perspective, it can distract the reader when they're going through the CV. So again, professional experience is important, but maybe not as important if you're applying for an academic job to your academic experience and your research, your teaching experience and your research experience. And obviously an exception for this would be if it is a lecturer or a tenure track position that has a professional component. So if it's for a job, say in the journalism department or in a school of journalism, obviously your professional experience matters there. So in general though, like unless the professional experience bears on the job, I would recommend minimizing that. Next. Okay, I'm not going to go through these in much detail at all, but again, there's no real kind of best way to do it. There's no single formula for a perfect CV. We have some templates that, or actually I have some templates that I can share. I'll put my email in the chat. But yeah, there's not really any perfect way to do it. To speak to a question that came up in the chat, there is no page limit, but I think it was Howard put this response, which I would agree with. An academic CV is probably 5 pages, maybe if you're starting your career. Committees get a lot of CVs, so being able to kind of really have the information that's pertinent for the position is crucial. And having it compact and having it available. Kind of touched on this, but just to bring it back home, you want to be strategic in how you order and entitle your categories. And again, can't emphasize enough, reverse chronological order is imperative. And a small pointer, but important, you want to stick to a common font. You want a nice, crisp, clean CV. I wouldn't recommend moving fonts, like having one section and like one font and it's big, and then the next section, I don't know. I just make it uniform, clean, and most importantly, follow the conventions of your field. Similar to what we're going to talk about when we get to our topical breakout rooms, different fields and different kinds of job within the field might want one part emphasized over others. So to bring up the example that I used earlier, if it is an academic job within a kind of professional department or with a professional component, your professional experience becomes very important. If it's an academic job, I don't know, in a history department, and you have professional experience in another field, that's not probably as important. Next slide, please. Final tip, and I'll leave us with this. When I create CVs, I have a kind of Frankenstein CV that I keep that has everything in it, including all the conferences that I've been to, all my publications, my work experience, and I kind of go through for each job and, like a cover letter, customize a CV for the job. So make parts of the CV that would be maybe more important for the job kind of rise to the surface. And I would recommend really doing that for each job, thinking about like, how can I tweak my CV to make it really kind of step above the pile when it comes to, or rise above the pile, excuse me, when it comes to the search committee application review. All right, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Pam, for sharing the screen and helping with the slides, and hope people got something out of this.
Thank you so much, Stuart. That was great and really helpful. And yeah, I agree with you. They should all the fonts should be in the, it should all be in the same font. Oops, okay. So, oops, our next.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm sorry, did you, we were trying to talk about how to present this. I'm really sorry. We don't have questions now, but we'll have them afterwards. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so the next person I'm going to introduce here is Craig Bernandini. He's a professor at English at Hostos, and he's also a former department chair. What I want to say about Craig is he's a great all-around person, and I think I met him when I was interviewing for the adjunct part-time position at Hostos. Is that correct, Greg? Is that what I mentioned? So we're going to take questions after we're going to take questions in the breakout rooms, but we will also take questions after the breakout rooms. We'll also have an opportunity to take questions. So if you have any questions, please hold them to the breakout rooms if they're field specific, or afterwards, please hold them for after all the presentations are done. So thank you. All right, so Craig, are you ready? I'm going to share the screen now. Okay. Craig, go ahead. Are you able to share, Craig? Okay, hold on. Craig?
It wasn't allowing me to unmute for some reason. I don't know why. Okay. So maybe now that I'm unmuted, we should try again. Sorry about that.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thanks. I just couldn't see you. So yeah, so if you have any questions, do save them for later, or save them for the breakout rooms. So hold on. Okay, we're going back. Wait, hold on. I'm going back to you. Okay. There we go.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could just jump to the next slide since that was a title slide and you already introduced me. Yeah, thank you so much, Pam, for this. And hi to everybody. I'm really excited to be here presenting about teaching philosophies. And I guess I just wanted to start by emphasizing that, we're engaged in this position, in this profession, because we love to teach, right? It really is a vocation, which Google tells me is an occupation regarded as particularly worthy and requiring great dedication. And I've always loved this quote by the Italian writer Natalia Ginsburg. What is a human being's vocation but the highest expression of his love of life? A vocation is man's one true wealth and salvation, right? Love of life, wealth, salvation. It's also, of course, what makes us so easily exploitable as teachers, because they say, why should we pay you when job satisfaction is your payment? I know that's an aside, but we're in a union meeting, so perhaps it's a worthy one to make. So anyway, when we write a teaching philosophy, right, I mean, we really want that love of our profession to kind of shine through, our excitement about our courses, about engaging with our students, about being in the classroom, right? But clearly that why we teach is bound up in this question of goals, right? What we hope to accomplish as teachers. And I think we can think about goals in both the big and the little sense, right? So in the little sense, as an English teacher, I see somebody to admit here that I'm getting. As an English teacher, my little goal, right, for the end of the semester is I want my students to write better, to write coherent essays, to gain more understanding and pleasure from the readings they do. But in the broader sense, we often think about teaching as a kind of socially transformative act, right? Scientific literacy, communication skills, those are the kind of things that are essential to a functioning democratic society. And that's what we want our students to kind of enter the world with. another reason I chose the Ginsburg quote. That book it came from called The Little Virtues. The title essay really talks about the fact that why are we teaching kids about frugality and punctuality? We should be teaching them about justice and generosity and compassion and, the big virtues and things like that. And just as a brief anecdote, I came to Hostos after being an adjunct at John Jay. And when I wrote my first teaching philosophy at Hostos, I remembered a story about a New York City police officer who had refused to roust homeless people who were sleeping on benches, even though that's what he had been directed to do. And I use that story in my teaching philosophy, right? Because, for me, what it was an indication, I thought to myself, if I'm teaching like kids who are going to go into the police academy, and I think at the time it was 2 years at John Jay and a C average, you went into the police academy, like in what way is my English class kind of contributing to helping produce police officers who make decisions based on conscience, who think critically, who don't necessarily simply follow the orders of a supervisor, but kind of act as individuals and human beings, right? So kind of socially transformative big picture of education is something the teaching philosophy gives us the opportunity to think about. And then finally, of course, I want to emphasize that last slide. How do I go about this, right? How do I go about accomplishing these goals? How do I link the love of my profession to actually accomplishing the goals I've set out? Next slide, please. So the problem, of course, is that this is a big general task, right? And it's very easy when we have big general tasks to fall into platitudes and cliches. And on top of that, like the rule of thumb is like a page, maybe 2 pages, right? So it's not much room that you have to work and develop this. And so what I'm hoping the rest of this presentation is just gives people some handholds for thinking about how they can kind of not fall into those platitudes and cliches, thinking about things like clear focus, attention to your classroom practices. And by doing this, you kind of enliven and sharpen the statement as a whole, right? Next slide, please. Oh, thanks. Wait for it to come back. I lost it on my screen. Is that right?
Hold on. Somebody was saying they could only see you. So we just need to spotlight the slides. I'm going to reshare.
Cool. That would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Terrifying thought.
All right. Hold on. Right. Okay. Something had happened. All right. So we're picking up with focus, pick a theme.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Totally.
All right. Great.
Oh, cool. Okay. It looks like it's there. All right. Let me shrink myself.
Okay. Yeah. Boyda changed the access to the slide. So I need you to change it back. I'm sorry, Boyda.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I figured out what happened
Okay.
here. So I'm actually adding
Okay.
you as an editor.
You. Okay. Thanks. All right.
Good to go?
Yep.
All right, cool. Thanks. Right. So here's a list of possible focuses, right, for a statement, meant to give your statement unity, coherence, focus, that sort of thing. It's a list of possibilities, not meant to be exhaustive. I'm not going to go through these in detail. Anti-racist pedagogy, growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset, right? The idea that students aren't innately gifted and talented, but they, persevere and you stoke their curiosity and they can improve. Culturally responsive and sustaining pedagogy, diversity, equity, and inclusion, gamification, digital humanities, adjustment to remote learning. I think we all have a great deal to say about that, right? How we've kind of kept our students engaged in the new online environment, what we learned about teaching in that environment. Trauma-informed pedagogy and effective pedagogy. Again, this is not an exhaustive list by any means. And besides that, I wanted to make 2 quick caveats here. The first is don't assume that your search committee is aware of these things, right? It would be good to invest in a short description of what you're talking about. Like, just speaking personally, I have a good sense of what culturally responsive pedagogy is because I have a colleague in my department who's spoken and written extensively about this. Trauma-informed pedagogy, I might be able to muddle my way through into an understanding without help. I've actually haven't heard the term effective pedagogy before. So just bear in mind, pedagogical schools rise and fall like other intellectual constructs, right? And don't assume that there's something fixed and eternal, right? And if you have particularly some older members of a search committee, it might be good to just kind of clue them in and make sure they're up to date about what that is, right? So it's really a question of being audience aware when you use these terms. The second caveat is don't grab something, right? Just because you think it's going to make you a quote unquote sexier candidate for the job search, right? trust the pedagogy you've been using, right? The goal of the teaching philosophy is not to reinvent yourself for the sake of a job application, but really to showcase what's best about your teaching and what teaching means to you. Yeah. Next slide, please. So just specific terms and examples really, really important. And these two bullet points are really complementary. You know, the first is avoiding kind of generic terms like student-centered pedagogy, innovative pedagogy. And the next bullet talks about kind of generating teaching narratives that describe the learning environment you create and demonstrate how you put that philosophy into practice, right? And they're complementary because like I have a creative writing background, right? And one of the things creative writers always learn like your first semester is show, don't tell. But that's really the kind of long and the short of it, right? If you're crafting teaching narratives, right, that are showing that you're innovative, right? If I read your teaching philosophy and I think, wow, that is a really cool exercise. I never would have thought of doing it that way. I'm going to try it in my own classroom. You've just shown me that you're an innovative pedagogue without really having to say it, right? You won't fall into that trap. Next slide, please. So another thought about staying focused, just staying on the target for the job that you're applying for. I'm thinking of things like the department, the institution, and also some of the specific parameters that might be mentioned in the job description, right? So what kind of courses are you going to be assigned to teach? What are the students like at that institution? Are there specific features of the job description you might need to allude to? And also the mission of the department and the college. Bear in mind that some departments have missions. Mine does, the English department at Ostos, for example, in addition to whole institutions or colleges having mission statements, right? And just one thing, you know, just bear in mind, and this might sound obvious, but like, if you go into like your job letter or your teaching philosophy and you're talking about the kind of nuances of teaching Chaucer's poetic voice, but you're applying for a job where you're going to be teaching 9/10 comp and there's not even a sophomore level elective on medieval lit, right? You're kind of raising a red flag. And it might not be worth mentioning, but I've been on several job search committees and I've seen that. And it's like an immediate, like, this person's probably not right for this job, right? So just bear in mind, right, keep in mind always and target the institution that you are applying to. And then finally, one word about the broader institution and kind of being aware of it. Like Hostos has a really vibrant digital design program, including a game design program, right? A lot of students come there for that. If I was applying to Hostos and I had done any gamification in my classroom, I would really want to mention that, foregrounded in my teaching philosophy, knowing the institution that I was applying to. Yeah. Next slide, please. So a quick note about autobiography. I know you don't have much room, so you have to be very sparing, but you don't have to completely avoid it, right? A lot of your background experiences and the teachers and the intellectual mentors you've had, right, have played a role in kind of shaping the teacher you've become today and your sort of practices in the classroom. So, you know, of course, cite your intellectual mentors. I put a nice little quote from a colleague's teaching statement at the bottom from Bell Hooks. Obviously, someone like Paulo Freire also gets quoted a lot, but, you know, it doesn't have to be them. Why not E.O. Wilson? Why not Sack Van Berkovich? Why not, in fact, you know, the English teacher in high school who gave you a C on your research paper because you forgot to put a thesis in, right? You know what I mean? Those are the kind of things that might actually increase the individuality and memorability of your teaching statement, right? So again, don't entirely rule out autobiography, even though it has to be used sparingly, given the length parameters that you have. Next slide, please. This is my last advice slide, and then I just have a few examples to look at. And this is maybe the most important one, which is why I put it last. Don't forget you're the expert, right? You've been teaching CUNY students. You've probably been teaching at the institution that you're applying to. You know those students, so keep them front and center, right? What are the challenges you've encountered? How have you faced them? What have been your successes and your failures? And what have you learned about pedagogy as a result? And I want to say a quick word on behalf of failures, right? You obviously don't want to paint yourself as a failed instructor, right? Bad idea. But judicious mentions of failure and how you addressed it indicates your growth as a teacher and also the fact that you reflect on your teaching, right? You know, being an innovative teacher is part and parcel of being a failed teacher, right? You have to try new things, see how they work, retool them, eject them if they don't work, try new things. That's part of being, I think, of being a good teacher, and it really bears mentioning in your philosophy. So in the next few slides, I'm going to look at just some examples. I'm from a school that has the benefit, from my perspective right now, of using a portfolio model for reappointment, tenure, and promotion, which means that I have access to a lot of really great teaching philosophy statements. So I'm going to share a few examples of those just by way of kind of illustrating some of the points I've made. Next slide, please. So here's a great one on focus on theme. I'll read part of it. The question about what to teach in natural sciences is woven together with how to teach it. Over the years, I've gained confidence in taking risks in the classroom by trying different teaching styles and classroom management techniques. Coming from the experimental field, I understand that trying something implies making a mistake. For me, this is the core of understanding teaching as a lifetime learning process. In doing so, I've defined my teaching style as a controlled, unpredictable process. The meaning of what and how we teach should also value students' voices. In this regard, one student recently mentioned that in my chemistry class, the why should be more emphasized than the how. And it goes on from there and gets into the whom in the last paragraph. What I really liked about the statement, there were a variety of things. One is the way that he used the 5 or 6 W's as a kind of coherent theme, and then also showed that all of those different question words are interrelated and impact each other, right? The why and the how are impacted by the who, for example, right? I also, of course, really love the way that it focused on teaching as experimental and prone to failure and kind of learning and then coming back from that. And finally, I think it's a good example of the way that those focuses listed before aren't the only ones, that there are other ways, obviously, to approach a teaching philosophy that can be successful. Next slide, please. Here's a nice data-driven example of diversity and inclusion. I'll read a bit of it. The most influential factor in my teaching is the shortage of underrepresented minority students in science-related professions. According to a report of the National Science Foundation, the number of bachelor's degrees granted to male students is relatively higher than to female students. However, the greatest disparity occurs among ethnic groups, and it goes in to give us some hard data about the comparisons. And then it ends, this is the troubling reality of American education. Therefore, efforts toward reducing this inequality in science education should be well thought out, planned, and executed. So this is an example of inclusion and diversity, not in terms of how you construct your classroom, but in the broader sense of kind of what you're trying to accomplish as a teacher. And bear in mind, this is coming from a teacher teaching at a college where 95% of the students, I believe, are students of color. So this is someone who would really be driving students they can become interested in science into science-related fields. And you can see that kind of being set up in the last sentence of this paragraph. Next slide, please. Here's a last example from the sciences. I dissect topics into segments and prioritize them according to their relevance. The selected basic information is presented in various styles, and they go through a list of that styles parenthetically, like mini lectures, PowerPoint slides, etc. These answers are produced by the collaborative efforts of a class. These scaffolding schemes allow me to escalate the level gradually according to the group's progress. Eventually, I incorporate more complex subjects, often using the strategy that best matches the group. Overall, I strive to make my lessons real and comprehensible by relating the topic with the current global events, such as common ailments, environmental challenges, species extinctions, and so on and so forth. And then finally, the last sentence, I try my best to demonstrate the relevance of biological knowledge to everyday life. I love that connection of science to everyday life, and it kind of talks about the way of keeping students engaged and potentially leading them toward a career in science. This was the same faculty member as the previous slide. I also like the dialectic this paragraph sets up between students and teacher, right? The way that actually the group of students helps determine things like approach and pace is a really nice example of student-centered pedagogy without staying so, right? The advice I might have given to this person would have said, hey, this is now a great moment to maybe flesh this out in a specific example, which I think is a nice segue into the next slide. So next slide, please. And it is an example from the humanities, from actually an English colleague. In all of my composition courses, I emphasize treating writing as a process, giving students guided pre-writing assignments, such as writing summaries of a text or drafting a working thesis in order to provide scaffolding and support for their formal essays, topic sentence, right? In preparation for the first essay in my English 111 class on poetry, I first assigned an annotation exercise in which students reviewed the basics of annotation while learning to identify poetic devices such as symbolism, metaphor, and meter. For their next assignment, students were asked to choose any poem we had read and write a brief close reading that gave their personal interpretation of the poem. Finally, students were asked to give this close reading as a starting point of their essay, which they were given prompts that required them to analyze a specific aspect of their chosen poem in greater detail. And then after that general description, one of the most successful and popular readings of this assignment was Rita Dove's poem, Heart to Heart, which I taught for the first time last spring. Students responded to Dove's playful approach to common idioms used to describe the heart as the seat of love and emotion, and the poem's illustration of different forms of figurative language helps students to see some of the different ways symbolism and metaphor can be used to create meaning. It's a beautiful landing point at the end there, right? Working from a topic to some general examples, and then to a specific author that was used and the way students responded to it. And then finally, my last slide, just my last example, which is a remote learning example, similar to the last one, but a differently structured paragraph. Useful tools to support student reading in an accessible and inclusive way is Hypothesis, a software that allows for collaborative annotation of electronic texts and PDFs. I model the process of annotation by including my own comments to demonstrate the different ways students might approach the activity, such as defining an unfamiliar term, identifying a theme, or commenting on tone. Students get invested in providing their own comments and building on the work of their classmates. For students who are balancing competing obligations and enduring many stressors, this asynchronous activity allows students to participate at a time that is convenient for them and offers a low-stakes way to enter conversation. Digital collaborative annotation will remain part of my course design regardless of teaching modality, for I see it as promoting equity and accessibility in the classroom. That's so many beautiful points about this, right? Again, the treasure trove of things we have to talk about, from adaptation to online learning, that is then again going to continue into our in-person learning as we returning to our classrooms. Very specific about the kind of software is used, and also the big picture kind of payoff in terms of this faculty members' broader philosophy of teaching. Equity and inclusion are clearly a big part of this, and you probably won't be surprised to know that it was the bell hooks quote. This is a part of the same instructor's teaching philosophy. So I wanted to say just thank you so much to the Grad Student Early Support Career Support Committee at BMCC, who helped me prepare this presentation. I also wanted to thank the faculty members at Hostos who shared their statements with me, and also the chairs I reached out to who recommended the faculty members whose statements they would share. So thanks, Pam. That's it.
Thank you so much, Craig. Thanks very much. Oh, and we're just running right on time, so this is perfect. Or well, we're a little bit not on time, but that's okay. So the next person I want to introduce you to is Boyda Johnston. She's assistant professor in English at BMCC, and it is through her efforts that we have been working with these slides, and this slideshow has been great. And she's part of the Graduate Student and Early Career Support Committee in BMCC English. And she started at BMCC in 2018 after 3 years on the job market. And also Angel Martinez. He's an adjunct assistant professor. He's 5 years at CUNY. He's social sciences at both BCC and Hunter. And he's Africana, Puerto Rican, and Latino studies. So I would like to introduce them. And can you unmute both of Boyda and Angel? Yes.
I was able to unmute myself, yes.
Okay, good. And Boyda, great. All right, thank you so much, Craig. Really, I mean, and thank you, Stuart. I mean, this has just been amazing. All right, so I'm gonna start your slideshow. Hold on. Yeah, we have a survey. Somebody asked about the survey. We have a survey, and just I ask you all to wait till the end, and I'll drop it in the link. Okay, so
okay.
There we go.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to definitely give a big shout out to Boyda Johnston for putting these slides together. Definitely a big thanks to her for doing this. I'm just here to recite this very important topic of diversity statements, especially in the last few years. We've been seeing more and more of it. Just to jump right into it, biographical experience, big deal. But you can definitely include any experiences participating or leading anti-racist and pro-LGBTQ pedagogy working groups, events, or other initiatives. And of course, I would even include disability as well. So that's a big part of what you want to put in diversity. Definitely go through it. One thing to keep in mind, a lot of the abbreviation is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if you see that, it's going to be in the same thing as saying a diversity statements if it says DEI statements. And remember, of course, each job posting is different. Norm is one single space page with double spacing between paragraphs. So I guess more like a cover letter in that sense. And the best statements will look both backwards and forwards. And from a UC Davis posting, your own diversity statement, you can tell us how your past and present activities have shaped your perspectives, but we can jump on to what's in the future. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, things you can put include your bio, of course, your experiences as a mentor and or teacher, and possibly as a student, as was alluded to in Craig's presentation. I really appreciate Craig for giving a good preview of this, and as well as Stuart's introduction. Debates or initiatives in your academic subfield pertinent to diversity. A lot of ways you could play with that. The relevance of diversity and associated values to research, any ideas you have for future action. Watch that future word again, especially with school initiatives, statements of commitment and recognition, your narratives. I mean, speaking of bell hooks, narratives are very important, of service to intellectual and institutional communities that demonstrate a commitment to diversity. Your own anecdotes, reflections on classroom encounters with this diversity, and even non-academic community service that contributes to academic inclusion. Okay, next.
I do think, sorry, Angel, to interrupt
Please.
you. I do think there was one slide at the beginning that we
Okay.
skipped past.
Okay, was I missing anything, Boyda, in the first slide?
Yeah, it was just the intro slide,
Oh, okay.
number 25 for Pam. Yeah, just kind of
I
getting
thought I
a
missed
little
that,
more
yeah.
context for diversity statements, but you're doing great.
Great. Okay, that's fine. I'll go through it real fast, and we'll just skip on. And see, and again, thanks to Boyda for doing that. I mean, this is great work that she put together here. And of course, colleges become more programmatic promoting diversity, as we've seen, as well. As we all know, at CUNY, our faculty is still too white, so we're looking at experiences and competencies. And these are all the different kind of statuses in terms of where there's more representation needed, including all kinds of differences of all different areas, and you can read them for yourself right there. And with all materials, this statement should be vivid and memorable. Get beyond the platitudes, come up with concrete details, lively anecdotes, specific ideas, varied and engaging sentences, clear organization for the statement as a whole. Okay, let's go on to the slide I was supposed to do. All right, good. All right. And therefore, it's good to echo, reinforce, and complement points made elsewhere in your material. So it's all a nice, neat package if they're asking for it. So this is just another opportunity to put it all together. Avoid tokenizing non-white students or portraying yourself as a savior or hero. Maintain a sense of humility about what others are thinking and feeling, and minority students of all kinds. Good idea to examine the college's website for specific discourse and initiatives on focus on diversity. And you always want to take a look at that, including get the proper name down. Some people say DEI, some people even say JEDI, justice, equality, diversity, and inclusion. So watch out for that. Good to mimic what they're saying. Okay, next slide. So some ways to evaluate judging commitment to diversity: capacity to respond in pedagogically productive ways to learning needs of students from diverse backgrounds; sustained personal engagement with communities that are underrepresented, a likelihood of using the diversity of human experience as an educational resource in teaching and scholarship, and membership in one or more groups whose underrepresentation in the U.S. professorate has been severe and long-standing. Okay, next. Okay, and here are a couple examples. One, as you can see, is one work in teaching in Spanish, and you see when you look, it's telling a whole story of progression. So it's not just what you're doing now. You have to look at how you built up to that point, and hopefully move on to what you want to do in the future. And in the next example, it shows how you can look ahead. So we see the before, during, and after, and you look at through that. And you said one in teaching Spanish and the other in a science and engineering. And Nose brings in a personal story about the Middle East too. So these little things like that really add up, and some stuff's going to go into CV and the teaching philosophy anyway, but this is a great place to reinforce it. Okay, next slide. Okay, here's some relevant links to help you out. These are several universities and a citation from Inside Higher Ed about how to write effective diversity statements. If you're applying a place and you see a link to such a thing, I'd say definitely go ahead and do it. But if not, you can definitely look at some of these for examples to help you get on your way. And let me tell you from my own personal experience, those statements I've seen that do talk about how to write are quite useful. Again, it's a question of just watching out what the school actually wants. That you really want to pay attention to that, and even things like demographics as well. Okay, next.
I think that was the last slide there.
Oh, that's it. Okay, great.
Relevant
Well,
links, yes.
hope I did okay time wise.
Yeah, no, that was very quick. Thank you very much. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much to you and Boyda for putting this together. So this is great. Okay, so the next person I want to introduce, again, near and dear to my heart, is my own department chair. It's Liz Mazzola at City College. And I found out today she's been there for 28 years. She's been on sabbatical this last semester, and but she missed teaching so much. She came back to teach one class, which I found really interesting. And but I want to introduce her. She's going to talk about cover letters, and then so what will happen after this, and I hope that the agenda has been put into the links into the chat again, but I'm going to just place it in there now, is after this, after Liz, we're going to go into breakout rooms. And some of you have been assigned, and I don't know if most of you have been assigned at this point, but hopefully we'll all go into breakout rooms, and we'll get to discuss more closely cover letters and, in field specific areas. But here to present now is Liz. Liz, are you unmuted?
I think I am.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Pam, for inviting me. Thank you, Boyda, for your help, your guidance in putting the slides together. All right, so I'll just, if I could, get those
hold on.
slides.
I'm going to put the slides up
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I tried to be really objective, and so I hope if different people want to weigh in, they really feel free to do so. I'm thinking that a cover letter should run no more than 2 pages, maybe a little bit under 2 pages, 12-point font, relatively short paragraphs. I do think you want to have a lot of information, but it doesn't want to feel like just a long list of things. It should feel organized and have a theme. You're making an argument about yourself. I do think you should customize it as much as possible, which is one reason why keeping it short may be helpful, just so that you're not putting hours and hours into this letter. It really is important. And as long as you hit some of the main points, I think you'll have accomplished something really important, which is keeping yourself in the on the list of people to be interviewed. Ideally, you can find out who the search committee chair is. If not, then just address the department chair. I think the first paragraph should summarize exactly why you're the perfect person for the job, not for any job, not the best teacher in the world, but why this particular job really matches your particular qualifications. So if the job is asking for expertise in Chaucer and geometry, you talk about both things. I wouldn't mention anything else. You can get to your other talents and skills and background in other paragraphs, but you want to take care of that goal right away, that you are the person that the search committee is looking for. Then the next slide, please. I would advise you to talk about your classroom, especially if you're going up for a lecturer job. Those tend to focus on teaching. The teaching load is heavy. So, and I think CUNY is trying to diversify its teaching faculty and also enrich it. So, we really want and we really need, and our students deserve people dedicated to life in the classroom. So tell the search committee what your classrooms look like, what you hope to accomplish, what your training, your interests, your publishing, how it enriches things that you do in your classroom. And I think you can be specific. You can talk about learning outcomes. You can talk about particular assignments and how certain students move from your classroom to do X or Y or Z. I think that kind of detail about your engagement, your investment, your expertise in teaching, that's something search committees need to hear about, want to hear about, and I have no doubt there's a lot of extraordinary talent and experience that you can share, and you should do so right away. I think another paragraph, a kind of supporting paragraph, I mentioned writing because I'm in English, but I guess if you were science, maybe talk about lab work. Art, you might, I don't know, talk about projects, but I guess talk about what, how you imagine assignments, or how you, I don't know, how you want students to perform, what you're evaluating, what you're encouraging them to think about when they do research or produce a video or, I don't know, conduct an interview. So it's less maybe about the classroom and more about what you want students to walk away with after they take your class, if that makes sense. You know, these are suggestions, by the way. They're definitely not prescriptions, but I think talking about teaching in different ways is something that happens in a classroom and is something that happens to your students could be really worthwhile. The next slide, please. I think some discussion of work and life outside the classroom, if you've worked on committees, if you've taken workshops or training, your own research, certifications, this might be the place to talk about a dissertation or publications. But I think you want to make sure it's related to the position. If they're looking for someone who teaches Chaucer, you could talk about your research on, I don't know, Edith Wharton, but if you can somehow relate it to Chaucer, that would be in your interest. And then I think another paragraph about what role you played in your current department. What kind of relationship do you have with colleagues? Have you led a workshop? Have you taken a workshop? Have you met with the chair? Have you ever prompted the chair to do X or Y or Z? You know, how has your work transformed or somehow had an impact on life inside other classrooms or across the campus? I guess an easier way of describing this would be to talk about your experience as a citizen of an academic community. How have you upheld your responsibilities? How have you envisioned your duties? Next slide, please. I think a short paragraph to talk about what the last 2 years have been like for you as a teacher, as a student, you know, living through COVID in New York City, what you've seen happen to students, how it's affected your approach to teaching and assigning work now. You could talk about learning mindsets or ideas about attendance. I just think not talking about COVID and the pandemic and the way moving online has transformed things, forced us to question and reassess what we're doing. I think that's an important opportunity, a really useful thing. To me, it almost feels like a necessary reflection, something you should, I think, share with the search committee. A final paragraph which sums up everything you've said, kind of hits the high points again, but also ties what you can bring to the the specifics of the institution. If you know that transfer enrollment is down, or more money has been coming into, I don't know, for interdisciplinary initiatives. And I'm talking not only about jobs at CUNY, but across the country. If you can, there's some kind of news which suggests this college is really trying to do X or Y, then here's the place where you can advertise your ability to help them in that project. And then a final paragraph, thanks the members of the search committee, indicates your willingness to supply additional materials. Something I left out, but Boyda had included. You might want to just list, included with my materials are my CV, my teaching statement, my diversity statement, just to indicate what's in the package. And then I think also mention your willingness, your availability, your interest in being interviewed, and then signing off. I'd sign off with a signature, I think, rather than your type name. I think that's it. I don't know if there are additional slides. I know Boyd had provided. This is something I wanted to share with you. I want to do my best to support the hiring of as many of you here, and as many people who couldn't be here into the ranks of full-time faculty at CUNY. I also, though, have been doing a lot of reading about what's happening beyond CUNY. Something I read earlier in the week was really, really interesting. It was a discussion of the ways community colleges have encouraged us to rethink this idea about how scarce academic jobs are. We're used to thinking of the whole process as being incredibly competitive, but this article suggested if we look outside four-year institutions, it can feel a little bit different. I'm guessing that's probably more true outside the metropolitan area, but it still was a really interesting thing to read. Something else I came across earlier in the week, it's a career planning tool for jobs, careers outside academia. And I know today's workshop is all about getting jobs within CUNY. And as Pam mentioned, I've been here almost 3 decades, and it's wonderful work. It's a beautiful place, but no one ever told me when I was in graduate school to consider jobs outside. And I think working in a museum, working in a high school, working for the government, working for the Department of Education, working for cultural resources is just as important. And it may offer additional ways to reach more members of the community besides college students. So I just thought I'd take advantage of the big audience today to share those 2 resources with you. All right, thank you very much. I hope it's helpful.
Great, thank you so much, Liz. That's great. And yeah, so we are now going to move into breakout rooms. I want to just check in with Deirdre for the breakout rooms. Do we have everybody?
Janet's gonna make an announcement.
Okay, Janet.
Hi everyone, I'm Janet. I'm a member of the PSC staff. So here is what's going on with the breakout rooms. For those who were able to rename themselves, we have about 1/3 of you assigned to rooms. What is going to happen is that I'm going to press the button to open all of the rooms. If you were assigned, you will automatically be moved in to your room. And if you were not automatically assigned, I just put in the chat all of the rooms that are available. Now, one note that I will say is that please don't write the chat right now with your discipline. Okay, because we want people to be able to read this. What I will say is that social science 3, if you are in the social sciences and you were not assigned to a room, go to social science 3, okay? So I will open up all the rooms. Those who were assigned will automatically be put into their rooms. If you were not assigned, you will be able to pick the room that you want to enter. And if you are in the social sciences, please go into social science 3. I will give you now the option to unmute yourselves if you need to, but please don't all talk at once if you're still in this main Zoom room. Once people start entering the room, just raise your hand and we can try to put you into the appropriate room if you can't find your way there. So now I'm going to open up all the rooms. Pam, do you want to say how long people will be there for?
Yeah, so we're going to be in the rooms for about half an hour, maybe a little bit less at this point because we ran a little late. So maybe, 25 minutes to half an hour. And then everybody will come back and we'll have, the last 10 or 15 minutes to talk, to close out, and to talk about what's next.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm going to open up the rooms now. Again, if you do not automatically get put into a room, the list of potential rooms to join is in the chat. You can enter the room that you want. If you are a social sciences person, I highly suggest you go into room 3, which has the fewest amount of people. If you do not know how to enter your breakout room, here is what you do. You go to the bottom of your screen. You see the 3 little dots that say more. You click on that. It will say breakout rooms. You will see the list of potential rooms that you can join. And then you hover over the room that you want to join and you press join. If you want to change the room, please just write into the chat where you want to go instead, and I will move you there.
Or you can change your name while we're doing this process, and you can also see it in the names, Janet.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to rename yourself immediately, then, okay. And then.
Yeah, because I'm moving people, but I can only move people who've named themselves with a discipline. So if that's easier than moving yourself into a room, just do that.
There's a science section. We're supposed to have a natural science section with Itzhak Mano. Which one is that?
The science room is
Natural science with Itzhak.
so there's just one science room,
Right.
and it is room. It just says sciences. Here's how you find the room. Okay, you go to more at the bottom of your screen, and then you click the 3 dots. You see breakout rooms. Okay, no 3 dots and no more.
Okay, yeah, it's at the furthest. It's right next to the leave button, or it should be. Ruth is supposed to be in arts, so I'm going to move her there.
So
Okay.
click more if you have a more, and there you will see breakout rooms.
Okay, I'm joining a room for a second. I have to go in there.
Yeah, so folks, if you can just be patient because there's a lot of stuff coming into the chat. So please, 1 second. Lynn, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was trying to put it in. I was just confirming because it has me. It had me in a different one in the agenda, but that's fine. I just want to confirm that I should go into the one that's social sciences, race and ethnic studies. Yes, I should. Okay.
Hello. I was in math and I was get disconnected for a second. I was in a math breakout room.
Okay, sorry, 1 second.
Thank you.
And I was supposed to be in social science.
Yeah, me too. This is David. I got disconnected. If you could get me into social sciences.
Yeah, okay. 1 second. So can you move David Monda to social sciences?
Similarly, I got disconnected just as you were assigning the rooms and I need to be in a social science room.
Wendy,
Hello?
I'm moving you. Okay,
Thank you so much.
sorry, one at a time, everyone, please. Okay, Sharon, I'm lowering your
This is-
hand. Wendy, I'm lowering your hand. Nina, do you want to,
Social
Baba.
sciences, please.
social sciences?
thank you
Okay.
so much.
Mhm.
Baba for math.
Sorry, can you just raise your Zoom hand and then I'll get to you? Thank you. Okay.
نروح يوم الاثنين مش هنلحق.
Okay. Patricia Hagler,
Yes,
where would you
social
like to go?
sciences,
Okay,
social
got it.
science. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, the Samsung SMG9. You're on mute and you need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, where would you like to go?
Oh no, I can't change it. I'm on my phone. I have a suggestion. So when we apply for these positions, we
I'm
have
sorry,
to.
I really need to assign people to breakout rooms. So please just hold that thought. Thanks. Ruth?
Okay, my thought. Thank you.
Ruth?
Yes, can you please move me to fine arts?
Fine arts. Okay,
Thank
you
you.
should get the notice now. Horace, where would you like to go? Please unmute yourself. Horace? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Hi, where would you like to go?
I don't know. Where should I go? I mean, hospitality.
Ooh, hospitality. Anyone?
Business.
Business? Okay, I'm gonna move you to
Yeah,
business.
yeah, that's right. That's ideal.
Okay.
Business.
Okay, Elizabeth
Yes.
Wolfsky.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, good. Catch us. If you could.
Okay, whoever is not up, just mute yourself. Thanks. Okay, Elizabeth.
Hi there. I teach in LEH, but looking to be hired in social sciences.
Got it. I'm moving you to social sciences. Thanks. Patricia Johnson.
Social sciences, I'm theology, but I don't think you have any, well,
Yeah,
it'll be
sorry
social
about
science.
that.
Can I go to race and ethnicity?
Sure, I'm moving you there now.
Thank
Baba,
you.
Torre,
Math.
math. Okay, got it. 1 second. Okay, Julie Galanti, where would you like to go?
Yeah,
Business. Okay.
please.
Yes, I think you said business. I'm moving into business. Susan Fountain, you said education. I see that in your thing. Let me, I can't for some reason find you.
This is Jen Shaw. Do we have accounting?
No, so I think that you would need to go to business.
Okay.
But hold on. Oh, you're the person that just spoke from Susan's account?
I don't know which account. Jen Xiao, JIANXIAO.
Okay, 1 second. Hold on. Susan, are you there?
Yes.
Where do you need to go and where were you assigned? Because you're not unassigned.
Okay, I need to go to education and I was assigned to the social sciences, race and ethnic studies.
Got it. Okay. And you need to go to education, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
If anybody wants to put where they're supposed to go in the chat, I'm going to try to help
Yeah.
Janet as she does this.
Yeah, we have
Thank you,
other
Janet.
staff who are looking at the chat too. Patrick Slattery, where would you like to go?
Business, please.
Okay, got it. Okay, so you just got assigned to business. Rajveer Singh, where would you like to go? You're on mute, by the way.
Science.
Got it, okay. Okay, you should get the notice now. Sungmin Park, where would you like to go?
Fine art, please.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Dr. Robert Woods, where would you like to go? You're on mute, by the way.
Business?
Business, okay. Were you assigned elsewhere?
Where was that?
No, sorry, because I don't see you on my unassigned list, so do you know if you were assigned to another room
I
initially or
did
no?
not. I just want to get in one. because-
I just assigned you to business a couple minutes ago. So is it popping up at all?
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
Can you
Yeah.
go to more on the bottom of your screen? Meanwhile, I'm gonna try to get to Ken Mark. Oh, you want to go to education, I see.
I
Okay,
cannot.
I'm putting
I'm
you-
sending
okay.
you to Larry.
Okay, so Ken, I just assigned you to education.
If I have a title commissioner? Yes, I don't have a
John,
title
you should please mute yourself, and you said you wanted to go to business, right?
Yeah, business.
Okay, got it. Okay. And then, sorry that this is taking so long. Okay.
Sorry, we
so-
lost our moderator.
Okay, and which room is this?
Humanities 3.
Okay,
Who is, when you lost your moderator?
She just got cut off and she never came back.
do you
Okay,
remember
I'll find
name?
her. All right, I'll be
Okay.
there.
Roberta? Hi, Roberta.
Hi,
Where would you
I
like
was
to go?
assigned to Social Sciences 3. Please move me to Social Sciences, Race and Ethnic Studies.
Got it, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're getting moved now. Jessica Snell? You're on mute,
Yes,
by the way?
I'd
Hi.
like to go into education, but I'm not getting through.
Okay, got it. Do you know if you're assigned to another?
I'm using no, I wasn't assigned. I'm using an iPhone. I don't know. I don't see under more. I'm going in the more dots. I don't see meetings.
Okay.
I don't know if it's an iPhone thing.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try to find you and put you in education, but Michael, where would you like to go?
Thank you.
To humanities? Oh, are you not presenting? You're on mute, by the way. Hey,
Yeah, humanities too, please.
okay, putting you there, and then let me try to find you, Jessica, because you don't
Okay,
show
no,
up
I
as,
think
oh,
so.
there we go. Okay, and then you wanted to go to education, right? Okay. Okay, and then so Nishan, you're on mute, if you want to tell me. Yeah.
Hi, I'm having some difficulty. I don't see the more option.
What room would you like to go to? I can just put you in there now.
Okay, business, please.
Okay, got it. Okay, so
Thank
you
you.
should see the notice now. Okay. Tulip Lamone King, do you want to tell me where you would like to go? You're on mute, by the way. Hi. I can't hear you for some reason. Could you maybe write in the chat if possible, and we'll try to move you? Yeah, I know. This is Tulip.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Where would you like to go?
English.
Sorry, where?
English. It's in the chat. It's in the chat. The chat.
Oh, you want to do humanities? Okay.
No, English.
So there's no English room. There's only
Okay.
humanities.
Humanities.
Okay, so Ralph William Boone, where do you want to go?
Humanities.
Okay, got it. Okay. So I just moved you in there.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Jen Zhang, you want to be put in math? Okay. Jen Adler, do you need to be moved? Hi.
Yeah, I was put in sciences. I'm multidisciplinary. I think social sciences would be better.
Okay, got it. I'll put
Thank
you in
you.
social science. Yep, you just got
Appreciate
promoted.
it.
Yeah. Okay, so anyone else need to be moved? You can just come off mute right now.
I'm Esther Nunez, and then social science. Can you place me in social science? I'm somewhat late.
Okay, so you would like to be in social science? Seems like you've already been, hold on. Let me try to find you first.
Hi there.
Hi, sorry, I'm still trying to find you because I think you were assigned somewhere else.
Humanities?
Oh, you were assigned to a humanities? Okay, let me look
You
at
can
this.
see.
Okay.
No?
No, hold on, sorry. Oh, I see this. Okay, so you need to go to social. Okay, so now you see the notice. Okay, and then Marlon Morales, I see your hand is up to go to math.
Where am I going to?
You're going to social science.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Marlon, your hand is up. Are you trying to go into math? You can unmute yourself if you want. Okay. Marlon, I'm still looking for you in our list. Dino, where would you like to be moved to?
Social science for 100, please.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for
Okay, you
doing
should
all
get the
this.
note. Susan, Zal?
Can you move me into the business? I teach human resources.
Sure. Do you know if you've already been assigned into a room that you just didn't join? Because I don't see your name right off the.
I was asked to join the education.
Got it. Okay. So this person. So. Okay, so you should get the notice now to be able to
All right.
move.
Hello?
Hi, yes. Do you need to be moved into a room?
No, I would like to make a suggestion. It's a really quick
No,
suggestion.
I'm sorry. Can you just write it in the chat because we're saving the chat and we're still troubleshooting putting people into rooms? I'm sorry. Okay, so wait, sorry. Lynn is where?
She's in the room with young men.
Hi, for everyone who's just joining, I think it's a few folks. What's happening right now is that we are in breakout rooms by discipline. This is the list of the breakout rooms that we currently have. If you want to just let me know where you want to go based on your discipline, just let me know and I will move you into the appropriate room. Otherwise, for actual things related to like the job postings, etc., like we're just handling the logistics part. So maybe save your questions for the actual facilitators when we come back from the breakout rooms.
I'm not assigned to the room.
Okay, so for the remaining folks who are here, what's happening is that we're in breakout rooms. If you would like to go to one, just write it in the chat. Otherwise, for like substantive questions, just wait for us to return to the main room. Hey, Lynn, do you need to go to, oh, you're on mute. Do you want to go to social sciences?
Well, I was in one social sciences, but Young Min was also there, and the first one's Abby was also there. So if there's another one with nobody also there, I can go in, no other facilitator.
I think that's
Or I
three
or I could go
probably.
back and just learn, but anyway, sorry.
3 is actually has Penny and Sophia Aptekar. For
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe do you want to go to the race and ethnic studies?
Zabby's there.
Okay.
So I'm fine with going back to the one with
Okay.
Lara and Young Min and
Okay,
learning
great.
about how I can successfully apply for a job.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, my name is Karunendra. Hello.
Hi, yes.
Shall you assign me to mathematics?
Sure. Sorry, I wasn't seeing who said that. Oh, I see you now. Okay.
It's a long name.
Yeah. So the thing is that I think that you were already assigned to
I don't belong to humanities, I never
oh,
taught
were you put
humanities.
into humanities? Okay, one
Yes.
second. Hold on then. I see. Okay. So we don't have a math, we have a sciences. So oh no, we do have math. I'm sorry. Let me put you in math. Okay, so you should be moved now. Okay, if there's anyone else who needs to be assigned to a discipline-specific breakout room, feel free to come off of mute, and I can add you.
Okay, I'll take her.
Hi, can you put me back to the business room, breakout room? Because this is Jen Xiao, I just step away.
Okay, so I just added you. If you are on the phone, you are muted and you can unmute yourself by pressing *6. And then if you want to tell me what room you'd like to go in, you can, but otherwise you are muted. So press *6 if you would like to unmute yourself if you're on the phone. And then for other folks who are here, we are in breakout rooms right now by discipline. And if you'd like to be added to a room, I just put the rooms in the chat and you can just let me know where you'd like to go. Hi. Do you need to be moved to a room, Roberta? No. Okay. Hi. For those just joining, folks are in breakout rooms right now for the next, honestly, 3 minutes. So I think that we should just stay here. If you're coming to this room for the first time. Do you know what we're doing at the end of this? Hi, Julia. Yeah, you are late. We're about done. We're doing breakout rooms right now, and I'm bringing people back into the breakout rooms. So I think that there'll be like an ending part. I'm not sure what it's like. But yeah, that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna close the room in 1 minute, and you're gonna see like 300 other people enter this meeting. So I hope that's helpful. Oh, it says Julie or as your name.
Right. So I said, I think we're going back, and here we are. Okay, so we still have 242 people here. This is just amazing. It's been amazing. The conversation was great. So thank you for everybody in my breakout room. We have to do this again. Let's get together again. We have to do this again. We have to do this more. And there are other things that I'm really interested in looking at. Yeah, here's the survey. I'll drop it here. I did send it out in broadcast, but I don't know who saw it. So now, for some reason, my survey is now being has been usurped by some Zoom something. All right, hold on. Here's the survey. Please, please, please take it. Having input from everyone is great. I think this has been wonderful. Boyda, are you here? Boyda, are you here?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, great. Do you want to talk a little bit about support groups and summer support groups?
Oh, yes. I forgot that I was supposed to talk about that. We've been talking about continuing the conversation. Thank you all for coming and possibly forming some small groups to share materials and support each other and, work against the culture of competition that seeks to divide us and try to keep, the union principle in mind that we're all in this together. And so there is a link, I think, in the survey, right? There's a question if you're interested in being part of a small group over the summer, to make sure to fill out the survey and add your email to that question. Is that correct, Pam? Okay. And then
Sorry.
Awesome. So that would be via the survey, and then we're going to have a similar event in September.
Yeah, September 16th. Sorry, go ahead. September 16th, we decided. Go ahead, Boyda, sorry.
That's it.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to suggest is make sure you tell us what else you want to see, what else you need, what else is important to you, because we're going to try to continue this project, right? The workshop series, professional development, because you know what? CUNY is not the only place there are jobs. As Liz pointed out at the end of her talk, there are not only other places outside of academia, but there are other places inside of academia. I mean, I've taught in New Jersey, I taught at Bergen, but I know there are lots of different places where jobs are, where it's possible to get an academic job. And really, not that we want less members. However, it's really important that we help each other to do the best we can. I'm just blown out of the water. I'm so happy with everything that I've heard today. And if there's anything, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to anybody who was here today, and our emails are available on the website. I'm the part-timer for I'm part-time officer at the UC, but I'm also a chapter chair at City College this year. And it's just been, it's been amazing. Olivera, did you want to say something? Your hand is raised. No? Okay. All right. So you know what? We finished a little bit early, and I think that's okay because it's Friday. But I do want to just say thank you again for everyone who attended, for everyone who helped, for everyone who's contributed. I know we lost a couple people in our breakout rooms, and people just stepped right up. That's what we do, right? We step right up, and the solidarity here is amazing. So, and just remember, we're working with each other. We don't, as Boyda said, we don't have to be competitive. We need to help each other. And I'm, really glad to set up groups and, to have groups for the summer and to help, help people. And we'll see you September 16th.
Can I just, Pam, can I just thank everyone and thank the organizers of this event. This is Andrea, I'm the VP. and I stayed. It was just a fabulous, fabulous, what do I call it? Training, meeting. It was so great. I'm so glad so many people came. I know that the officers will do whatever we can to support this whole campaign, including other sessions like this one, but also campaigning for more conversion lines and more full-time lines, period. So I thank everyone for being here, and especially the people who did the hard work to make this so successful. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, and again, the survey is in the chat. Please take the survey, and we'll see you. We'll see you soon. Maybe we'll see you sooner over the summer, but we're really, and just remember that reach out to as many people as possible. All right, thank you very much.
And the recording should be on the website. There was a question about that. We should be able to post it on the website.
Great. All right, terrific. Thank you. Bye.